Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fakhirah binti HAPIZI, matric number UDE2010. In recent years, the Islamic Financial Services Board has developed 3 guiding principles to assist in the strengthening of governance structure and processes in various segments of the Islamic financial services industry in accordance with its mandate to promote the soundness and stability of the Islamic financial system. Firstly, concern about the duties and activity of Sharia Board, which are part of the wider governance structure, has been a constant topic in all 3 initiatives. This critical given the IFSI reason to be conformance with the Sharia rules and principles. In reality, other IFSB standards such as those on risk management, capital adequacy and the supervisory review process include requirements and suggestions targeted at guaranteeing the implementation of an acceptable Sharia governance framework.
Hello, my name is NURDIANA binti RIDZUAN from Section 2 with match number UDE200105. I will explain about the objective of IFSB 10. First, to encourage the growth of a cautious and transparent Islamic financial service industry. Second, to provide guidance on effective supervision and regulation of institutions that offer Islamic financial products, as well as to develop criteria for identifying, measuring, managing and disclosing risk for the Islamic financial service industry, taking into account international standards for valuation, income and expense calculation and disclosure. For the third, to improve and coordinate efforts to develop instruments and procedures for more efficient operations and risk management. Fourth, to communicate and collaborate with relevant organizations. Fifth, encouraging the members countries to work together to build up the Islamic financial services industry. And lastly, sixth, to ensure the training and people development in areas connected to the efficient regulation of the Islamic financial services industry and related markets more accessible. Thank you.
The term Sharia governance system refers to the collection of institutional and organizational arrangements through which an institution offering Islamic financial guarantees effective independent oversight of Sharia compliance over each of the institution and procedures listed below. Firstly, relevant Sharia pronouncement or resolution are issued by the suitably mandated Sharia board. Sharia pronouncement or resolution refer to a juristic opinion on any topic pertinent to Sharia concerns in Islamic finance delivered by the correctly mandated Sharia board. In jurisdiction where a central authority such as the National Sharia Board or Fatwa Council has the authority to issue such pronouncement resolution, the Sharia Board at this institution offering Islamic financial usually focus solely on ensuring that the institution offering Islamic finance is compliant with the central authority's pronouncement or resolution. A Sharia pronouncement or resolution shall be issued only after following appropriate due processes, which should include, among other things, rigorous deliberation among Sharia board members over any proposed Sharia compliance products or transactions that require Sharia endorsement, as well as detailed scrutiny of the legal contract and other documents relevant to the products or transaction. Secondly, dissemination of information on such Sharia pronouncement or resolution to institutions offering Islamic financial operational staff who monitor day-to-day compliance with Sharia pronouncement or resolution in respect to all levels of operation and transaction. Normally, such work would be handled by a dedicated internal Sharia compliance unit or department, or at the very least by a Sharia compliance officer who is part of the institution offering Islamic financial compliance team. Next, an internal Sharia compliance review or audit is to ensure Sharia compliance, during which an instance of non-compliance will be recorded and reported, and to the greatest extent predictable, addressed and corrected. IFSB 3 stated that Sharia pronouncement or resolution issued by Sharia board must be rigorously followed. The main distinction is that although the internal auditor normally report to the audit committee, the internal Sharia review or audit unit or department reports to the Sharia board. The Sharia board or Sharia consulting company that perform the Sharia compliance review or audit should generate reports showing whether the institution offering Islamic financial services complies with Sharia obligation during the fiscal year. Where appropriate and judge require 2 sets of report might be produced, which is a broad segment of compliance that should be included in the institution offering Islamic financial services annual report, and a more thorough account of compliance work conducted addressed directly to the supervisory authorities.
We continue to the definition and scope of Sharia government systems. Another word widely used inside the IFSI is Sharia scholar, which refers to those who are professionally employed by IIFS to give knowledge in the Sharia compliance process. While the word scholar has been preferred as a direct translation for alim, ulama, which has connotes a learned and expert in the context of the IFSI, we are actually referring to a more specialized level within fiqh al-mu'amalat, Islamic commercial laws rather than Sharia in general or other area of Islamic studies. Furthermore, the specialty is devoted to offering expert advice in the form of Sharia pronouncement, resolution pertaining exclusively to Islamic financial service rather than directly to the general public or enterprise in general. As a result, in the interest of the clarity, it is vital to emphasize the professional rather than academic aspect connected with this function. As a result, this text uses the phrase member of Sharia board rather than Sharia scholar to refer to ulama and others who perform their professional service only inside the IFSI. In comparison to the scenario in a normal financial institution, the following example shows how the Sharia government system enhances the current government's control and compliance function within an IIFS. In reality, the detailed scope of the Sharia government system may vary from one jurisdiction to another, depending on the types of structure adopted by the IIFS as permitted by the authorities. Acknowledging this fact, this document shall further subscribe to the following premise. The IFSB standard and guiding principles shall draw upon and complement one another and form a coherent prudential framework. The requirement and recommendation in this document do not, in any manner, contradict or supersede the requirement and recommendation relating to the Sharia government system that may have been mentioned in other IFSB standard and guiding principle. Next, it is perfectly understandable that supervisory authorities may tailor the Sharia government system adopted by IIFS in their respective jurisdiction to suit market realities and the stage of development of their IFSI. Each model may have its pros and cons, and supervisory authorities should have a clear understanding of this and justification as to which model would suit their requirement. In this regard, the universal wisdom of no single model and no single cure, as advocated by the international recognized promoter of good governance, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, is relevant. Moreover, the responsibility of creating a solid and successful Sharia government system should not be borne alone by Sharia board members. Every stakeholder in the IFSI, including clients, management, shareholders, and supervisory bodies, should share responsibility. Comprehensive Sharia government system guidance would help all stakeholders understand and perform their roles in achieving Sharia government objective, as well as promote their IFSI soundness and stability. While Sharia boards are expected to play a leading role in ensuring sound Sharia governments, it is also reasonable to expect other body parts of government in an IIFS to contribute to upholding the Sharia government system by performing their function well and recognizing the importance of complementing Sharia board works. In this regard, IIFS are required to take a comprehensive approach to the creation of Sharia government system. Thus, the end for the definition and scope of Sharia government system.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is NURDIANA and I'm from section 2 UDE2010 and I'm going to talk about the guiding Islam. The guiding principle on Sharia governance system standard is expected to complement other prudential standards issued by the IFSB by highlighting the components of a sound Sharia governance system in greater detail to regulatory and supervisory authorities in particular. as well as the industry's other stakeholders in general, particularly with regard to the competence, independence, confidentiality, and also consistency of Sharia boards. Other than that, it provides increased openness in terms of issuance and the review procedure for Sharia rulings compliance. Moreover, it facilitates better understanding of Sharia governance issues and how stakeholders should satisfy themselves that an appropriate and effective Sharia governance system is in place.
Hi, my name is PRISCILLA VASHTY. My matrix number is UDE201014. Today, I will be presenting on the topic of how Islamic Financial Standard Board 10 guide the principle on Sharia governance system for the institution offering Islamic financial services, IIFS. One of the way that IFSB 10 guide the IIFS is to complement the existing governance, control, and compliance function within the institution offering financial Islamic services. For example, an institution that offer the Islamic financial services are required to have Sharia board, which will complement with the boards of director in the institution. They will also required to have the internal and also the external Sharia compliance audit to complement with the internal and external audit of that institution that offer Islamic financial services. Other than that, IFSB 10 also make sure that the institution that offer the Islamic financial services have the sufficient and effective access toward the Sharia board, which will then have the full responsibility to make sure that the services provided by this institution is adhere to the Sharia rules and principles, standard and requirement of the IFSB. Furthermore, IFSB 10 or the Islamic Financial Standard Board 10 also ensure that institution offering Islamic financial services, IIFS, also observe the relevant ex ante and also ex post processes at the product offering stage. Ex ante means before the event take place, meanwhile for the ex post it means that after the event is taking place. One of the example of ex ante is by issuing the Sharia resolution and also conducting a compliance check on the product offered. While for ex post, IIFS is to observe the internal Sharia review and governance reporting to make sure that they are consistently obliged with the Sharia compliance, and also they are able to manage any Sharia non-compliance risks that will arise effectively.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is PUTRI FARHANA and my matrix number is UDE201016. I'll be continuing about how it's guiding. So, by proposing objective performance criteria, the IIFS shall specify and implement a process for assessing the effectiveness of the Sharia board as a whole, as well as the contribution of each individual member to its effectiveness. Such performance criteria, which allow for comparison with peers in the industry, should be developed collaboratively and in collaboration with the Sharia board. The IIFS should not change these performance criteria arbitrarily or unilaterally. The performance evaluation report should be submitted to WOD for review and constructive feedback. Where appropriate, and IIFS shall act on the result of the performance evaluation, such as considering nominations for new Sharia board members or seeking the resignation of any Sharia board member who fails to meet the terms and conditions of his or her contract. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is ADLINA, matrix number UDE200135, and I'll be presenting for conclusion. So based on the information that we have gathered, we can see that IFSB 10 was found to act as a guide to financial institutions in the Islamic financial services area. And this act gives a great impact in financial services, especially to the Muslims, because there are certain practices that Muslims cannot do based on their laws of the religion. So for the IFSB 10, this gives information to Islamic financial services, and we can see that these services require more tasks that needs to be fulfilled before it can be implemented. And moreover, this also ensures that the rules stated by Islamic resources are properly implemented and should not be taken lightly. We can also see that the Islamic financial services can be used as an alternative in the financial services, as there are many benefits to this type of service, such as proper interest and direct services. However, there are also cons, such as it is more costly, and this can be seen as because it provides better value in practicing healthy financial methods.
I know is not